we still got a lot of work to go as far as the NFL season.
And let's talk about what happened in the NFC, because the playoff picture changes again with yesterday's outcome. For now, the Seahawks are the number 1 seed, pending tonight's outcome between the Colts and the Saints. But the Seahawks, by virtue of their win cross-country against the Panthers, KJ Wright, Seahawks linebacker, told me after the game, they will never take the Panthers for granted. They don't care about the record. It's a tough team. When they got number 22, Christian McCaffrey, you have to be ready to go. And they let the Panthers kind of creep back into it, but they held on to win. So for now, they're the 1 seed. Packers are the 2 seed. They got the 21-13 win over the Bears. They were up 21-3, and they let the Bears creep back into it. And we almost had a band is on the field type moment where the Bears, if they, and I don't know how much teams practiced that last play, but it sure felt like when you watched it,
but they had walked through it a few times.
But they really weren't buttoned up as they could be.
Yeah.
And when it happens, because it rarely happens in a game, you kind of lose your mind. Guy held on to the ball a little bit too long. Allen Robinson was there to catch the flip and score.
If he just opens his eyes and doesn't, worry about tucking the ball in the defender, I mean, he's going to pitch the ball. Here's the last play. Anybody's watching it. Trubisky throws it to the left to Tariq Cohen. These are plays that you do run. I mean, I'm sure the Bears, this is not their first time. These are things you do at the end of maybe a Thursday practice or the Saturday walkthrough. But look to your right.
That's the moment.
I mean, Allen Robinson looks like he's going to walk in the end zone. Look how angry Allen Robinson is. He's like, pitch the ball. We would have scored. That was unbelievable. It would have been an amazing one. They still would have gone for
They would have had to convert the 2-point conversion, and they would have had to win in overtime. But it really would have been something to see it happen. But the Packers get the win. They're 11-3. They are 1 win away from winning the NFC North after 2 years of no playoffs under Mike McCarthy. Matt LaFleur, Coach of the Year candidate, by taking the Packers to that 11-3 record. The Saints 10-3. They win tonight. They're going to be back in the 1 seed, right? Because they own the tiebreaker with the Seahawks. This is where it starts to get complicated.
This is actually, I
don't burn a lot of mental energy on these hypotheticals because it'll shake out when it shakes out. But
it will.
3-way tie between the Seahawks, Packers, and Saints. We'd have to apply the tiebreaker rules when there are 3 or more teams
I think
involved.
It goes to conference record, but I'm not sure either.
And right now, the conference record, based upon the information we have in front of us, the Saints are 8-3, the Seahawks and the Packers are 8-2.
So they would have the lead then. So maybe it doesn't change if they win tonight. I don't know. Either way, like you said,
that's why a lot of this stuff, wait until week 17 and figure it out when it's all over. Number 4 seed, we know that one. That's simple. It's the Cowboys or the Eagles.
Yeah.
One of those 2 teams is going to be the 4th seed by virtue of winning the NFC East. And what in the world with the Cowboys? The Cowboys lost 3 in a row. They were lost. They were listless. They were uninspired. And the Rams were the hottest team in the NFC, if not the NFL, other than the Ravens. And the Cowboys blow them off the field. 44-21. It wasn't that close.
I mean, bludgeoned them, beat them up at the line of scrimmage. This is kind of what I thought Seattle would do to the Rams last week a little bit on Sunday Night Football. I thought they'd have their way in their run game. I mean, the Cowboys basically just dominated the Rams like the Rams got dominated against the Ravens, where they couldn't hold up in any one area. But again, I think it just shows you a little glimpse of a team that is, the number 2 offense in football, has a top 10 defense. And yes, it makes no sense that they're 7-7, but it just shows you their ultimate, capabilities yesterday. They have elite talent on the Dallas Cowboys. That's why they're dangerous. And a lot of they've been. I guess my big thing with them at times, there are a lot of yards and not enough points that speak to the yards. Yesterday, they capitalized on all those yards and some of those big drives we talked about early on in the game. 15-play drive, 14-play drive. That was just domination, execution, physical domination, a few plays here and there. But Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott, I thought, looked as good as I've seen him look in a long, long time. But that's why the NFC is amazing. The worst team in the NFC playoff race right now is 7-7, and I could sit here and tell you they're the most talented team in the NFC. And that's where it gets scary, and that's where it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I think that if the Cowboys can keep this up, and the big test is this weekend.
Yeah.
The Eagles have won 2 in a row now, coming from behind,
right?
But against clearly
Giants
inferior teams,
right?
So what translates better to next week when Dallas and Philadelphia get together in a late afternoon window? Is it that the Cowboys blew out the Rams, or is it that the Eagles have shown resilience? Because if it's a close game, I'm going to feel like the Eagles have the recent history to carry them through.
Yeah.
But if the Cowboys play like they did yesterday, it may not be a close game.
I put more stock into what I saw from the Cowboys yesterday, I guess. The Redskins, the Eagles with their win over the Redskins, yes. I don't think their offense – it's going to be tough sledding, but yet they put up 34 points yesterday against a defense that's pretty well coached and got some talent. But Carson Wentz was phenomenal, and then they found a run game behind Miles Sanders. That was huge. The thing that worries me more than anything about, the Philadelphia Eagles right now is their defense. Just their defense letting up big plays and big moments. And then again, yesterday, the Redskins, they ran the ball pretty successfully. Dwayne Haskins, I thought, had his best day as a young professional, so that's encouraging. But they let up drives and big plays right now, and that's concerning when you got the Dallas Cowboys coming into town who, as we know, have some weapons on their offensive side of the ball and certainly can make big plays and big moments.
And just the consistency hasn't been there for the Cowboys this year. Can they continue to play like they did yesterday when they pack it up and take it on the road for essentially an NFC East championship game? Because the Eagles have the Giants week 17, Dallas has Washington. I would say that whoever wins the game Saturday, or Sunday rather, between the Cowboys and the Eagles, that team's most likely to win the division. Because I think that team takes care of business the following week when the division title was right there to be had.
Right. Well, and it won't even matter, right? It doesn't.
No, it could matter. It could matter. I don't think it's going to be clinched this weekend.
No?
I don't think it's going to be clinched, especially if the Eagles win, because they'll be split with the Cowboys. The Cowboys could force a tie week 17 and get in with a superior division record.
But if the Cowboys win, it's over.
I think it's over.
Then they've swept it, right?
They will have swept it, and they'll be up a game. You're right, and that creates the scenario that we discussed last week,
where they get the bye week.
Where they get a de facto bye. They can rest their starters against Washington. And face a team like the 49ers or the Seahawks, and the 49ers could really use a bye at this point. And they're going to be, whoever loses that bloodbath in Seattle is going to be limping into Dallas the following weekend. That may make it easier for the Cowboys to knock that. I feel like that's the way it's going to work. The Cowboys are going to be 8-8 or 9-7. And the Seahawks or the 49ers are going to come in at 12-4, and the 12-4 team is going to lose.
Yeah, well, I would not be shocked. You're right. I would not. And, again, to speak to the bigger picture of the NFC right now, the number 1 and number 2 seeds are, of course, Seattle and Green Bay as we sit here right now at this moment. And they have flaws as a football team. They really do. They have more flaws than the Saints and the 49ers. I know that. And, again, I'm worried about the Packers. They win with football games. I get that. And the Seahawks, too. But, man, their defenses, they have moments where they get gashed. Run game, pass game. Come on, the Seahawks pass defense, I don't know where it's ranked right now, but it's
Quandre Diggs is injured now, too.
That's huge because he's been a huge boost to their secondary. They're 29th in football and pass defense. The Packers are 22nd in football and pass defense and can't stop the run either. So, that to me is like kind of the funny thing about the NFC right now is the Seahawks and Packers, even though not always dominant, have found ways to win football games, and then here they are in the power position right now.
Think about this. The top 3 seeds and the 5th seed in the NFC currently have 3 losses.
Yeah.
The 6th seed has 4 losses. They're all packed together, and then there's who doesn't belong and why. The Cowboys at 7-7.
Right.
It is an amazing year in the NFC. It is a top-heavy conference. And by virtue of the fact that the Rams lost, and they still could finish 10-6 and not get in, I hate to see a team with double-digit wins not get in when there's a team with single-digit wins that does get in.
It's going to be hard to argue it after yesterday.
Yeah, but it may. That's right. You're absolutely right. But the Rams had their chance, and the Rams got blown off the field.
Right.
I still don't like to see 10-6, 11-5 not get in.
I know. It does. It doesn't seem right. You're right. But, they had their opportunities. They've blown a few games throughout the year, and some close ones, the Rams, as it may be. But the NFC is just, it's going to be really interesting to watch it all unfold when all's said and done, because nobody's just got an easy schedule either. That's the thing you look at. Like, your Vikings at the 6th seed, Packers, Bears, that's not easy. The 49ers, Rams, and Seahawks, holy cow. The Packers got the Vikings and not the Lions. Okay, they should win the Lions game easily, but that Vikings game, of course, is going to be huge. So there's a lot of football to be left to be played to see where the seeding happens, and I do think seeding is going to be about as important as it's ever been as far as the NFC playoffs are concerned this year.
Something I probably will be doing when I get home is breaking it all down and trying to figure out how these scenarios all work. Because the Vikings at least could still get a bye in the NFC, depending upon some of these other games. They're going to need some unlikely outcomes, like the Lions beating the Packers week 17.
Right.
But the Lions, they played the Buccaneers tough, and Matt Patricia may be trying to make the best possible closing argument for another year for himself. Beating the Packers week 17 could be it. And I keep hearing that Matthew Stafford wants to play again this year. Well, if he's going to play at all, it would be week 17.
Well,
Kerryon Johnson wants to come back and play. So there's still a lot to be determined. That's the fun of this season.
The NFC, I just look at it and go, the Seahawks and Packers, if they want to go to the Super Bowl, they have to have the first round bye. I guess that's how I view it, where I don't necessarily look at it that much way with the Saints and 49ers. I do feel like they have teams that can go on the road. They've kind of proven that can win games in those kind of moments where, I feel like the Seahawks and Packers, they got flaws with their football team. They need that home field advantage.
I feel like home field advantage means less than just getting the week off. The week off is going to be critical.
Yeah.
I think all these teams can win on the road if they have to, but you don't want to have to play wild card weekend.
Right.
Because just advancing out of that morass is going to be a fight. And think about it, for the team that loses the Seahawks 49ers game week 17, you follow that up with a playoff game. You have a de facto playoff game, then a playoff game, and then you're facing somebody that's had multiple weeks to get ready to play. I think that's going to be a difference potentially.
Yep. Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.